There is a noise that lives inside you. It is not the noise of the street or the wind or the voices in the next room. It is the noise that wakes before you wake. The one that has been there since you were small. The one that says, handle this, hold this, carry this, decide this, fix this, all of it now, alone. You have called it many things: pressure, burden, the weight, the storm. I have called it those things too. And the strange part is, the world has not actually grown louder. You have simply grown thinner. The walls of the soul wear down. The roar that you used to walk through, you now drown in. The same morning that once felt like a gift now feels like a cliff. The same evening that once felt like rest now feels like a debt unpaid. The same labor that once steadied you now bleeds you. Nothing on the outside changed. Something on the inside thinned. This is the chaos, not the events. The way the events land on a soul with nothing under it. You do not sleep well. You wake at the third watch of the night and you stare at the dark ceiling and you turn over every wound and every duty and every face. You count what you have not finished. You rehearse conversations you will never have. You build elaborate fortresses inside your own head against enemies that may never come. And then you collapse, exhausted, into the dawn that should have been your friend. You walk through your hours like a man wading through a river that keeps rising. You feel the current against your knees, then your thighs, then your chest. And you keep telling yourself the river will fall. That next month, next harvest, next season, the water will go down. And the water never goes down. Another rain comes, another tributary swells, and one morning you realize you have been wet for years and you have begun to forget what dry ground feels like. The worst part, the part no one will say out loud, is that you have begun to suspect this is just what life is, that this is the price of being awake in the world, that the noise will never stop, and that the only question left is how long you can keep your head above the water before you slip under. I want to tell you something. The noise is not the proof that God is absent. The noise is the field on which God means to meet you. The disciples were in a boat once. The wind came down off the mountain without warning. The waves rose over the side of the vessel. Water filled the bottom of the boat. These were not soft men. Many of them were fishermen, men who had grown up on this water, men who knew how to read a storm and how to ride it. And these men were terrified. The text tells us they thought they were going to die. And Jesus was asleep on a cushion in the stern. Read that again. The Lord of heaven and earth, the one through whom all things were made and by whom all things are held together, was asleep on a cushion while the storm tried to swallow his friends. Not pacing, not pleading, not bailing water, asleep. They shook him awake. The question they asked him is one of the most honest questions in Scripture. Teacher, do you not care that we are perishing? You have asked him that question. I have asked him that question. Do you not see this? Do you not see what I am carrying? Are you indifferent to me? Have you forgotten that I am here? And Christ stood, and he spoke to the wind. The Greek records the command as one you would give to a wild animal, pephimōso, be muzzled. Sit down, close your mouth. And the wind died, and there was a great calm. Then he turned, and the question he asked them was not about the storm. It was about them. Why are you so afraid? Have you still no faith? Hear the order of that. The storm was real. The water in the boat was real. The danger was real. The men were not imagining the threat. And still, the rebuke was not for the sea. It was for the men who had forgotten who was in the boat with them. Psalm 46 lifts the same banner over your head. God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. Therefore we will not fear, though the earth give way and the mountains fall into the heart of the sea. And then, like a hand laid on a trembling shoulder in the middle of that same psalm, be still and know that I am God. Not be still and find quiet. Be still and know. The stillness is not the goal. The knowing is the goal. The stillness is how you remember who He is. And Christ Himself said, "In this world you will have tribulation." He did not promise the absence of storm. He promised His presence inside the storm. "Take heart," He said, "I have overcome the world." So hear this carefully. The chaos is not a sign you are losing. The chaos is the field on which faith is forged. The wind that frightens you is the wind that He commands. The wave you fear will drown you is a wave He has walked across. And the boat you think is sinking has a man asleep in the stern. What do we do with this? What does a man do on the ground in the middle of his life when the wind is still coming? 4 practices. Carry them like a blade you can draw at any hour. 1. Hold one verse in your mouth until it bleeds into your marrow. Joshua was told, on the edge of a land full of giants and walled cities, that the book of the law was not to leave his lips. He was to meditate on it day and night, and then he would have good success. The word for meditate in that command is the sound a low lion makes over its prey. A growl, constant, possessive, reluctant to let go. The picture is not of a scholar at a desk turning pages. It is of an animal that has the thing in its teeth and will not be moved. You do not read a verse and walk away from it. You take one verse for the week and you carry it like a stone in your hand. You say it under your breath at first light, before another voice reaches you. You say it again at noon between the labors of the day. You say it in the heat of the afternoon when the chaos starts to bite. You say it at dusk when you put down your tools. You say it when the wave hits the side of the boat. You say it when you cannot remember why you are still standing. The verse becomes the floor under your feet when the floor is gone. The verse becomes the rope you grip when the storm pulls. The verse becomes the place you live inside instead of the noise. 2. Bend the knee before you face the day before sunrise. While it was still dark, Mark tells us, Jesus rose and went out to a solitary place and prayed. The Son of God Himself would not enter the day until He had knelt. If the one in whom there is no chaos would not face the hours unbent, what arrogance makes you think you can? The chaos lands hardest on the soul that walks out unbent. The man who begins the day on his feet has already chosen who is king. The man who begins the day on his knees has remembered. Kneel first, a few minutes in the dark, alone, before another voice reaches you. Confess what is rotting in you. Ask for the day's bread, not tomorrow's. Bring before Him the storm you're walking into and name it out loud, weight by weight, wound by wound, fear by fear. Then name Him Lord over each of them. Do not rush this. Do not perform it. Do not turn it into another duty on the pile. The day that begins on the knees holds a shape. The day that begins on the feet does not. You will feel it in the 3rd hour. You will feel it when the trial comes. You will know whose strength you are running on. 3. Cut what is not yours to carry and cut it without sentiment. The writer of Hebrews tells us to throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles and run with endurance the race marked out for us. The image he is using is of an athlete stripping off the long robe before the race begins. You do not run in robes. You do not run in chains. You do not run with 1,000 small weights tied to your ankles by your own hand. There is no virtue in carrying what was never yours. The chaos roars in your soul because you have said yes to too many voices, to obligations no one laid on you, to opinions you did not need to hold, to old grievances you keep watered like a garden, to the duty of being everything to everyone, everywhere at once. Walk slowly through the hours of your life and ask of each weight, is this mine? Did the King give me this? Or did I pick it up to prove something, to win someone, to silence a fear that I have not brought to him? If it is not yours, set it down. Set it down even if it is good. Set it down even if someone is watching. Set it down even if your hands have grown so used to its shape that they ache when it is gone. The man who carries only his own cross can carry it far. The man who carries every cross he sees will be crushed before sundown. 4. Walk into the storm, not around it. When Peter saw Christ on the water, the wind was still tearing. The waves were still high. Christ did not still the sea before he called Peter out. He said, "Come." And Peter stepped from the boat into the storm itself and walked. The lesson is severe. Peace is not found by waiting for the wind to stop. Peace is found by stepping toward the one who is standing inside the wind. Do the hard thing today. Have the conversation you have been dodging. Open the letter that frightens you. Pick up the weight you have been pretending is not there. Confess the sin you have been hiding from the brethren. Forgive the man you have been hating in the dark. Walk toward the very thing your flesh is most afraid of, because that is exactly where you will find him. You will discover, and only when your foot is in the water, that he was already there. That the wave is under his feet, not yours. That the storm cannot drown the man whose hand is in his. The chaos will not end this side of the grave. The boat will keep taking water. The wind will keep coming down off the mountain. The voices will not all fall silent. The river will not always fall. Some seasons of your life you will labor through with your jaw set and your back wet and your heart pounding, and that will be the obedience. But there is a man asleep in the stern, and he is not asleep because he does not care. He is asleep because he has nothing to fear. The wind does not move him. The wave does not move him. The roar that is breaking your soul does not even disturb his rest. He is the one the wind obeys, and he is in the boat with you. So wake him in prayer. Hold his verse in your mouth. Lay down what is not yours. Walk into the storm with him, and then be still and know. Kneel to one.